All right, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a huge topic, one of the most mysterious and, let's be honest, complicated things we can think about, the human mind. We're not just going to talk about what it is, but also explore this fascinating idea of how we can actually get some control over it.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? You're trying to concentrate on something important, but your thoughts are just everywhere. Or you want to feel happy, but you're kind of stuck on a worry-go-round. It really does feel like we're just along for the ride in our own heads sometimes. But what if you could actually grab the steering wheel?
So our guide for this journey is a classic text called Mind, Its Mysteries and Control. And even though it was written way back in 1946, you'll see how its ideas are frankly more relevant now than ever. The author, Sri Swami Sivananda, wasn't a psychologist in the modern sense. He was a yogi looking at the mind from this incredibly deep philosophical perspective.
He kicks things off with something we can all relate to. We all want to be happy. It's like the main goal, isn't it? But so often we put in all this effort, chasing things, chasing success, chasing relationships, and yet that deep, lasting happiness seems to slip right through our fingers. So what's going on? Why is it so hard?
Well, according to this text, the real problem isn't what's happening outside of us. The biggest obstacle standing between us and the happiness we're looking for is the very tool we're using to look for it. It's our own mind.
So before we can even think about a solution, we really have to get to know the problem. Let's take a closer look at how this philosophy actually describes the mind itself. And I think this is just the perfect analogy. Your mind isn't some fixed thing, it's always in motion. One minute it's peaceful, the next it's a storm of anxiety. It gets obsessed with one idea and then poof, it's on to the next. This constant shape-shifting is its default setting, which is exactly why trying to just nail it down feels so impossible. Okay, so what's behind all this change? What's pulling the strings? The source gives us this really cool framework called the three gunas. You can think of them as these three basic energies that are constantly mixing together inside us, and that mix determines the flavor of our mind at any given moment.
And this is where it gets really practical. You can actually feel these. Sattva, that's when you feel clear, calm, and balanced. Everything just feels right. Then there's Rajas. That's your inner engine. It's passion, it's motion. It's what makes you feel restless and always wanting something new. And finally, you've got Tamas. That's the inertia, that feeling of being stuck in the mud. Laziness, mental fog, just blah. Our entire mental landscape is basically a constant dance of these three qualities.
But it doesn't stop there. This philosophy goes even deeper, giving us what you could almost call an anatomy of the mind, breaking it down into its different working parts.
Now, this is a really important distinction, especially from the way we usually think about it. Here, the brain is like the physical hardware, but the mind, the antakarana, is the subtle software that runs on it. It's an internal instrument, something we use, which is a very different idea from it being who we are.
And this instrument has four main parts that work together. First, there's manas, which is kind of like the mind's inbox. It takes in all the sensory information and is constantly doubting, wondering, is it this or is it that? Then you have chitta, which is like a massive hard drive, the storehouse for all your memories and subconscious impressions. Ahankara is the I maker, the ego. It's the part that says, I like this, I hate that, and builds our whole sense of self. And finally, there's Buddhi, the CEO. That's the higher intellect that analyzes, judges, and ultimately makes the final decision. The whole team works together to create our inner reality.
Okay, pay close attention because this next idea is the absolute heart of this whole philosophy. It's a distinction that, if you really get it, can change everything.
Think about it. It's right there in the way we talk. You don't say, I am mind. You say, my mind. Just like you say, my hand or my keys. You treat it like a possession, something you have, not something you are. And the argument here is that this isn't just a quirk of language. It's pointing to a profound truth. So here's the breakdown. The mind is the instrument. It's always changing. It's messy. But the true self, or Atman, is the one using the instrument, and it's unchanging. It's steady. The mind is something you can watch. You can literally observe your own thoughts, right? That makes it an object. But the self is the observer, the silent witness that's aware of everything the mind is doing. The mind is just borrowing its light, but the self is the source of that light. I mean, what a powerful image. All that nonstop chatter, the drama, the turbulence of our thoughts, it's like a wall, a noisy, chaotic wall that blocks us from seeing what's on the other side, our true self, which this philosophy says is pure, calm, and totally peaceful awareness. Okay, so If the mind is just an instrument that's often out of tune, what are we supposed to do about it? Well, this final section is all about the how, the path to actually mastering this inner tool.
And the text is not shy about what's at stake here. To get control over your own mind is described as the ultimate achievement. It's a kind of power and freedom that's greater than any external kingdom you could ever rule.
But, and this is so important, how do you do it? The key isn't to fight your mind. It's not about wrestling it into submission with brute force. That never works, does it? No, the path is through knowledge, through understanding.
And here's the 4-step plan laid out in the text. It's actually a very logical, almost scientific approach. Step 1. Know what the mind is, its parts, its qualities. Step 2. Understand how it works. Watch how it operates. Step 3. Get really good at spotting its tricks, seeing how it fools you. And only then, once you've done all that, can you actually figure out how to calm it down and bring it under your control.
The ultimate goal here is to completely flip the script on your inner world. So instead of being dragged around by every thought and feeling that pops up, the mind becomes this incredible, powerful, and obedient servant, an amazing instrument that you can use to create the life you actually want.
And that brings us right to the end, to the one big, mind-bending question that this whole philosophy is really about. If all those thoughts, all those emotions, all those memories that you call my mind, if that's all just an instrument, if that's not the real you, then who or what is the one doing all the watching? And that's the great mystery we're all invited to solve for ourselves.